Howdy everyone, I'm Doug Howe. I want to welcome you to the next Positive Gravity. Today we're going to start a new project. I've been thinking about this one for a while. I've been busy doing other things lately, making small like salt and pepper shakers and things that aren't all that interesting, so I didn't record those. Those are for a sidewalk sale that I'm doing in Portland in a few weeks. But this one's going to be kind of fun. I don't even know if it's going to work, so I figured I'd video it. This is what we're trying to make. It's a rolling pin, just a tapered rolling pin. It's walnut in the dark brown, and then it's probably maybe a little hard to see on the diagram, but there is a spiral of maple that runs around the pin twice. How are we going to do that? Here's the starting material. Somehow, these flat square things are going to become a round tapered rolling pin with a spiral. Okay. I've got a diagram here that will walk you through what I'm going to do, and so let me just set you up so you can see this well. All right, so here's the plan. Give me my pencil. Let's get rid of this. So here's the starting material. This is my piece of walnut that I just showed you. It's just off the screen right here. I'll cut it down to these dimensions, so it'll be 5 inches by 19 inches. I'm going to find this exact center point and just mark it. Whoops. And then I'm going to find the first diagonal from corner to center. Then, and this is the first sort of really critical step, what I want to do is inlay or have a 1/4 inch thick maple strip that runs around the rolling pin. So I'm going to measure 1/8 of an inch on each side of this dotted line and make a red line, probably just a pencil line, but in my diagram it's a red line to mark off this 1/4 inch evenly spaced around this diagonal mark. That's going to become the maple once I use some cutting. That's going to be a 1/4 inch, like I said, so that's 1/8 of an inch on either side of the line. Then I'll take another mark here from the center to this corner. I'll use a T-square to transfer the intersection of this red line and this edge directly across to this edge, and the same for this one, directly across to this edge. So that's going to ensure, hopefully, that in a later step, the wood that's over here lines up perfectly with the wood that's over here. Eventually I'm going to cut this in half and fold it over. You'll see that in a minute. Then we'll do the same process here to make a 1/4 inch mark flanking this diagonal. And then we're ready to cut. So what I'm going to try to do is cut just on the inside red lines. So I'm going to cut my walnut here on this blue line and here on this blue line, just on the table saw maybe. I don't know. I'll have to figure out what this angle kind of is and see if the table saw will work or if I need to use the circular saw or whatever's going to work easiest. But this will get cut just on the inside line, not on this outside red line. That's just a reference marker so I can transfer it and continue. So yeah, give these a cut on the blue line. So once that's done, I'll have this piece cut, and I'll have maple, so my maple board, which is here as well, I'll cut strips out of it and glue those in place. So the board will be recreated with these 2 diagonal stripes of maple. The maple pieces I'm going to create, I'm going to cut out of this plank that I have. The plank is a little bit cupped, so I'm going to have to level that and thickness plane it down to a 1/4 of an inch. No, I'm not doing that. Level it and then cut it a 1/4 inch thick. So these will be 1/4 inch thick. And the grain of the maple will be running this way, the same as the walnut. So those will be diagonal cuts across the plank to keep all of the grain running like that. Then, once that is glued up and solid, I'll cut on this red line. So I'll cut this directly down the middle and flip it. So I'm going to take this piece, this upper piece, and just flip it over on top of this one and glue it. So this stuff right here is going to match up with this stuff right here exactly, in theory. So at that point we'll have a block like this. That'll be 2.5 inches here by, I think it'll end up being about 2 inches this way. And there'll be maple just at the corner here, and then it'll go across the bottom, across the top, down to the bottom, diagonally across the bottom, across the top and back. So that's going to allow us to have a spiral, I think. And once we turn it, it'll look like that. So, you know, I've never done this before, making this up as I go, but I think this will work. The really critical thing is that I can line up this maple here with this maple here perfectly so that this intersection is clean. Right, this intersection right where these two pieces come together. And that way when this is turned, it won't have a little jog in the line right here. So those are the critical steps. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get planing and cutting. And like I said, this maple piece has a cup in it, so I'm going to have to thicken or take it across the jointer and try to make a flat side. Then I'll thickness plane it flat. And from there, I will cut it on the saws and build this piece. So, all right. So now you know the game plan. Here's my pieces of wood. This piece of walnut is nice and flat, pretty flat. Flat enough, I think. Maybe needs a little sanding. I did already mark it up. You probably can't quite see it, but I've got pencil lines here, the same ones I just showed you on the diagram. The center point is here. I gotta rip this off. This will be the rolling pin. Diagonals here and here that are gonna become maple. So that's ready to cut. This one's not ready to cut. It's smiling, right? It's no good. So I'll rip off a piece off of here, the same width as the rolling pin portion, which is 5 inches. So I'll take a 5-inch rip off this, and then I'll cut those diagonal 1/4 inch strips off of this, and those will get mounted into that. So let's do it. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget, always enjoy the process. Sometimes that's all you get. Let's hope that's not the case this time. right, we're finally ready to glue this block together. Let's see how well these line up. I might run this edge over the jointer so I can get a nice smooth edge here to line up. All right, so after pondering this for a little bit, I decided the best way to line these up is going to be to mark the end of this board onto this board. I've got these lined up, and then do the same on this end. And that way when I flip these over, I can line these up for the glue up. Let's do it. All right, so I got this cleaned up. It's glued up and cleaned up. Didn't work the way I thought it was gonna work. You know, best laid plans. My thought process was clearly not correct on this one. Not only did I not get a good line up here, these joints over here matter. I thought they didn't for some reason, I don't know why, but when this line comes across and it has to cross over the center line, it has to meet up with this one. Same over here. And as you can see, these are way off, and this one's not even that close. This was the one I tried to align on. So, you know, when you go to glue it up, things are shifting around and it's really hard to keep it where you want it. So I got to think this one through and try again. I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a rolling pin, but it might go in the fire pit, who knows. We'll see, maybe it'll look cool. Maybe it'll give me some other ideas with these offsets to make a different kind of pattern. We'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it to a rolling pin and I'll show you what the final product looked like. And maybe we can figure out what went wrong. So let's take it to the, let's see, we gotta take it to the chop saw first and cut these ends square. And then we'll find the centers on each end and off we go to the lathe. So let's give it a try. So far, the process is all we're going to get out of this one, I think. Howdy everyone. I thought I would just give you a quick debrief on this project. So this is the rolling pin that we just made. You can see it really didn't come out like I was expecting it to. A couple of key points that I really didn't get correct in my head at the outset. I tried to line these two up on the blank. They need to be lined up on the finished piece. Once you start turning this in, these are just going to get further and further apart as you go further and further into the blank. So that's very tricky. If I really wanted these to line up on the finished rolling pin, I'd have to figure out where this surface was going to be in the blank, make a mark there, and line these two pieces up at that point. I don't know how I would even do that. So that's the problem with this. And I was just totally wrong about these. They have to line up exactly the same way this one does. And you know, they just had the same problem. They weren't lined up perfectly well, but they're also further into the blank because this is tapered. It's not a big taper, but you can see this one is this far apart and these are further apart because it's further into the blank. So they get further and further apart. The further in you go. You know, if you take this point, it's right here, right in the middle of the pin. And this one over here is in the middle of the pin. They're that far apart. So, you know, these came pretty close together way out here on the edge of my blank, but not on the surface of the pin. Not too bright. But despite that, I got a cool rolling pin out of it. I think I'm still going to include it for sale. It's kind of an interesting design. It's unique. I don't dislike it, actually. It's kind of cool. So I thought I would just share those insights with you. I really don't know. In theory, this design could work, but I don't really know how you do it effectively with the amount of precision you'd need. I don't think I'll try this again. I might try something slightly different. We'll see. Maybe there'll be another video with a second attempt. I thought I'd also just show you this Walnut rolling pin. This is another rolling pin I made recently. I didn't film this one. These are all for the sidewalk sale in Portland. So yeah, I made this nice rolling pin stand so my pins aren't rolling around on the table. Not quite done finishing it yet, but just about there. So, all right, give that a try yourself sometime if you want a real challenge. I dare you to try to make that work. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one.